Welcome to the Rude Dog Show. This is Rudy Reyes, and just in case you forgot or happen to have slept next to an MVP trophy and know your name is not Kevin Durant, make sure you download the WBLZ Sports app from Google or iTunes, and even the provided links on the RudeDogShow.com front page. I am your host, Rudy Reyes. Thank you for tuning in. Good afternoon, everyone. You can always tune in to Facebook Live as well, and this is exactly where I am at. And I happen to be live. So there you go, live and in charge. Get involved, call in, and discuss your thoughts about the NBA Finals. Warriors, Cavaliers now on the Gen Service Hotline, 216-539-9967, 216-539-9967. You would have witnessed something prior to his departure from the Thunder. I think you know where I'm going with this. He has been on the cusp for quite a few years now, and it's not only a championship, but an MVP trophy to boot. Not only an NBA Finals MVP, look, Durant in his first year with the Warriors was an easy choice as Finals MVP, as he became just the sixth player to score 30 or more points. He joined Elgin Baylor, Rick Barry, Michael Jordan. Yes, there's a comparison there. Michael Jordan. Everybody wants to compare other players to other players. Yes, Michael Jordan, Hakeem Olajuwon, and Shaquille O'Neal in 2000 and 2002. If you were suspecting that Curry would have one MVP vote, you are sadly mistaken. Here's why he didn't receive any votes. He averaged only 26.8 points, almost 9.5 assists, and only 8 rebounds game in a series. That had more to do with how dominant Durant was inside of the paint, outside of the paint, shooting perimeter shots, being the player that you want him to be. That's the reason why you acquired him to begin with. And look, my theory is this. The betting line on this may have been much, much closer had Curry not been in a terrible shape during the Game 4, where he only scored 14 points, and ultimately their team losing this game. Now, despite what you've heard, and welcome to the Rude Dog Show. Is this Lou by chance?
It is.
Okay. Thank you for joining the show, Lou. I appreciate it. Look, everybody else can get involved. 216-539-9967. This is Rudy Reyes on the Rude Dog Show. And don't forget to go to SeatGiant.com. I have another sponsor coming soon as well. That company will be posted on the RudeDogShow.com as soon as I get the required information. So despite what you've heard, and this is not an individual effort, don't be mistaken that this is one person winning it all for the franchise, because it's not that way. It's not that way in the NFL. It's not that way in the NCAA. And it sure wasn't that way when the Penguins went to its back-to-back Stanley Cup championship just the other day. And amongst all other respective championships, whether you're being handed a cup, a Lombardi trophy, it's a testimony to the hard work, dedication, passion, drive, persistence, and a commitment to yourself. But more importantly, it isn't anything that can be taken away from you. Well, not only from you, but from the memories that you help create throughout your season in any given sport that's in. And you can put all that behind you because this is where you've arrived. Steph Curry posted a photo of him and his wife dancing somewhere, and they were having fun. They were enjoying themselves. And why shouldn't they? Why shouldn't they? They just won, and only 1 year removed from a championship. So you have to ask yourself, Steph Curry making some curry stew while on the dance floor, slices it up. Lou, what do you think about that game yesterday?
Well, that game was kind of like teetering on. First, it was going to be like a close game because you thought when the Warriors were pulling away, Cleveland was bouncing back, and it was kind of back and forth until the midway to the fourth quarter, and then Warriors just took control. I mean, I thought it was going to be a closer game, towards the end, because Cleveland wasn't going to go down without a fight, and they did all they could, but Warriors are just too strong. I mean, Curry, that's a job. But LeBron had a great series, though, despite that.
He did.
Averaged a triple-double for the finals.
Yeah, he did. He had a triple-double and did a lot of great things, but couldn't ultimately be the one to put the team on his back to help them win the championship that they wanted to get. Look.
Oh, Durant, of course.
Yeah, no, I mean, I'm more referring to the Cavaliers. I mean, I couldn't think of a player, and I mean this realistically, I couldn't think of a player other than LeBron James to make the calls, to be the shot caller, literally and figuratively, getting those guys, Kyle Korver, there's so many other pieces to the puzzle. During Williams' sighting as well during these final series. But he reached out to these guys or vice versa and said, you know what, I want you here. LeBron James thought they would be a great fit to the puzzle. It seemed to work out that way for them down the stretch, but ultimately came up short as the Larry O'Brien Trophy did not get presented to the Cleveland Cavaliers. And I look at this and I think to myself, what other better situation, and I'm referring to LeBron James' situation, where you can get players to come, you talk to the front office, you talk to Tyronn Lue, you talk to everybody that you need to in order to help get these guys here. I mean, other NBA franchises wouldn't be open to such a player having that type of conversation, saying, look, this is who we want. We want this guy, make it so, and that's exactly what the Cavaliers did. I think the situation for LeBron James is very favorable because no other franchise could you possibly do this in unless you happen to be a guy by the name of, well, LeBron James. The biggest question that I have for the Cavaliers and their situation is do you sign LeBron James? He's a free agent in this offseason. I think he stays there. I think the situation favors him. I believe that the play favors him as well. Yeah, no, and I think so as well, Lou. Why? Because he's done a lot with this franchise, helped lead them to a championship, and they hadn't had one ever in the history of the Cavaliers as being an NBA team. They hadn't even got to that point. So LeBron James doing everything that he's been asked to do. He's been asking of them. It's a real good situation when you can give and take, when you can ask from your coaches, ask from ownership, you know what, this is what I want, this is what I'm looking for. If you help me, I will help you. And that's exactly what led them to the NBA Finals. Why? Because he had such an influence on the organization, an influence in the front office, an influence in the ownership of the Cavaliers to really pull in all these pieces that otherwise would not have been there if LeBron James hadn't have went out of his way to help make this a reality. I mean, otherwise you'd probably see guys like Deron Williams not playing in the NBA. Maybe Kyle Korver not in the NBA. They're both on the free agency market, but he's the one that helped pull it all together. So kudos to LeBron James for doing that. And it just goes to prove that being a leader doesn't necessarily have everything to do with what you put on the court. It's what you do off the court. And that's exactly where LeBron James finds himself. And he's in very good company with a lot of players really handcuffed. You know, he wasn't handcuffed. He had the ability to make those calls literally and be able to show up on the court. And that's exactly what he did throughout the playoffs, being the number 2 seed over the Boston Celtics. Boston Celtics, one of the weakest number ones to ever enter the playoffs, in my opinion, because they basically crawled in. You know, after losing games they shouldn't have lost, entered in. Bigger questions for Boston lay down the road. But you probably assume naturally that this series, that even during this series, one game in Cleveland meant that the Warriors, knowing full well that they would have to not only come back hard, but would have to play their game, their tempo, their style, and play within their personalities and really open the door for the winning mentality to show up during this game and the progression of this game. And that's exactly what they did. Look, even I remiss to overlook the greatness, which was a concerted effort by the Cavaliers, and Kyrie Irving showed big time in Game 4. J.R. Smith making much-needed jumpers, even three-point shots. Kevin Love, who played as good as a guy could with 2 bad knees and certainly not playing at 100%. Why? because when you enter the playoffs, that's a whole nother genre. You can't expect to play at the level you've been playing with in the regular season, especially when you don't have injury. When you have injury, that takes on a whole new form, takes on a whole new shape. Your mind, your will has to become a part to offset those injuries, to be able to keep your flow going, to keep your game going, to keep everybody else engaged, involved in the process. And just a side note, when I look at Kevin Love, I think to myself, is this guy ever going to be healthy? Will he ever be the impenetrable force? Is he ever going to be the power center that you really need? I don't think so either. Why? Because of the injury situation, because of the ongoing situation with his knees and his physicality. I'm not questioning his athleticism. I'm not questioning his will to win, his drive to win, his passion. I'm not questioning any of that. My question is purely, can his knees hold up? Yao Ming had a similar problem with his knees as well because he was so tall, because of the type of game that he played. Is he out of the league? Yes. That just goes to show that he relied a lot on his athleticism. He was good for the amount of time he played in the NBA, and Kevin Love will be also. Biggest question as to, who will they give the big money to in the offseason? Who will Cleveland look to in the NBA draft in recent times to consider, well, maybe this guy's a piece of the puzzle. Maybe this guy's a part of our next championship run. Now, make no mistake, as long as LeBron James is in it, and I mentioned this on the show before, Lou, and you've probably been on it, that anybody else out there that's listening will also probably put this on a marker and state that I said that not only will the Golden State Warriors win in 5, which is what they did, because of their defense, because of the offense, because they utilize guys in rotation as they need to. Even the bench guys showed up. Iguodala had a huge mamma jamma slam from over 9 feet away from the hoop, had the length in the arms in order to really add an exclamation point to his season individually, as well as being a piece of the puzzle in the regular season as well as down the stretch in order to help this team become one-year removed NBA champions. If you want to have that conversation, you want to say that, I don't know. That's up to you. You can call in 216-539-9967. It's a Gen Service hotline. And don't forget to visit SeatGiant.com. Use code RUDEDOG, hashtag get your experience, because only your experience will be at SeatGiant.com. I suspect that when you look at the Cavaliers and the greatness that is LeBron James, despite being 3 for 5 in the postseason, the Cavaliers need him more than, well, he needs them. He has shown that despite his ability to leave one city and move to another, that when the king asks for something, the franchise listens. Which kind of goes back to what I was just talking about a short while ago in relation to what the Cavaliers basically will do for him. Here's more players, Your Highness. Here are some guys, that you're going to need down the road. And in all fairness, look, I'm not condoning that players automatically and autonomously, find a way to say, I want this guy. I used to play with him. He was my buddy. We used to have dinner. He's a godfather of my children, so on and so forth and such. And blah, blah. Anyway, bottom line is this. If your name is not LeBron James, you cannot make those demands. Don't think about making those demands. Play within your framework. Understand your role. Know your role. I know I've heard that before. You probably have as well. This is Rudy Reyes on the Rude Dog Show at WBLCSports.com. I'm live on Facebook. You can also listen in by clicking on the links that work for you on the RudeDogShow.com. You'll find that on the front page, by the way. Look, the answer to that is simply no. LeBron James and his supporting cast did whatever they could to prevent the eventual from occurring. But down the stretch, it was more about the will, and I mean laid on rather thickly, kind of like a hot knife through butter by the Warriors. Also, by getting Kevin Durant involved in the rotation earlier in the season. Not only that, but when you look at a guy like Durant, you think to yourself, he fits in so many different places. You could insert him in the Chicago Bulls. You could insert him into the Minnesota Timberwolves. You could insert him anywhere. He makes guys around him better, and it's very similar to that. Everybody wants to have the conversation. Why? LeBron James does the very same thing, because he did. He did, and he still does. And I believe he'll continue to. LeBron James will certainly be the kind of guy that you look to for game-changing momentum, the mentality, the idealism of, I'm going to make you better. I'm going to help you get better. Even if it's by passing you the ball, even if it's by putting myself in a situation where I know I'm not going to be able to make the shot, and here you go. Being able to make everybody around him better. Kevin Durant built the familiarity with this franchise early on. And knowing that they had to do something, there was a change of momentum, changing things around defensively, and come up big, especially after being blown out in Game 4 in Cleveland in this series. One could wonder as to what the verbiage was between Kevin Durant and LeBron James as a torch was proverbially passed over. Is Kevin Durant the next coming of LeBron? No. Durant, LeBron James, Michael Jordan, Kobe Bryant, aforementioned Hakeem Olajuwon, Shaquille O'Neal. Look, you're probably asking, why not? Well, here's why. Because these players play their own style. They play their own mentality on the court, and the only thing binding them all together are numbers and championships. Look, you could begin to imagine, and I obviously could not be the one to imagine this, as to the level of NBA players' mentality, athleticism, and fortitude, especially at the highest level of competition and when it's needed the most. Winners making winning plays to win games. That is the theory behind why you can get to where you want to get to, is because if you're a winner and you've proven that winning can win you games, then you're onto something. It's a mentality. It's a mindset. It's what you do with the time and opportunity that you're given. I think that more often than not, that's not really a topic of discussion. You don't really dive into the psyche of an individual player. Why? Because you're not there. Last night, let's face it, ladies and gentlemen, it was all about the Warriors last night at Oracle Arena, who stepped out onto the court not only with the winning mentality, but a championship mentality. Cavaliers not only play with the fast break opportunities, solid defense and offensive speed of the basket, including a wide array of talent on the floor. And I look at it like this. For the record, you couldn't ask more from a player like LeBron James throughout this series. How epic was he? How epic was he? They went and closed. They closed four. I think it was 3 franchise records. 89 points in the first half of play, 49 points in the first quarter, and scoring the most points in any finals history that they've appeared in. So good company for LeBron James. Good company for the Cavaliers, because they played with zest, fast break opportunities, which were created by them defensively, poking the ball away, jabbing the ball away, and very solid transitions to the basket, including, all the efforts you could possibly imagine. Of course, we were talking about that triple-double from LeBron James, and I look at it like this. Because the Warriors are 1 year removed from a championship, I believe that they could go back-to-back because they have Kevin Durant. They're now the defending world champions. And
well, Vegas thinks so.
I think so. I'll be honest with you. Depending on what the Cavaliers do, this could be a four-peat, if there's such a thing. I think the Cavaliers can come back into this conversation of championship contention. Why? Because they have all the tools. They have all the pieces. I think that down the stretch, it was poor decision-making process by the Cavaliers. They missed easy layups. They were trying to force the ball into certain positions. It just was not there. So I look for the Cavaliers to really, in a very long offseason, unfortunately, we'll have another crack at it next year. But I look at it like, the odds are very good, and you know what? They should be good. They should be more. Yeah, exactly. Those are fantastic odds. Why? Because they have LeBron James, because they have J.R. Smith, because they have a variety of players that have contributed during the regular season, postseason, of course, in the finals, all inclusive. I look for the Cavaliers to really make a charge, to make a change in certain positions. And instead of paying one guy millions of dollars upon millions, just like I seen yesterday, where Jeremy Maclin in the NFL received $11 million on a 2-year guarantee, which is too much money. It's too much money. I think the Cavaliers will do much better in relation to where they go from a contract standpoint. Agents having a lot to do with those contract negotiations. But I look for the Cavaliers to be smart with money and continually do what they have to do in order to help make sure they get back to where they're at and be under some type of cap, as it were. The NBA doesn't have a cap right now, but I think they should have a fiscal cap, knowing what they have in payroll, and apply that accordingly. I am not an agent. I don't even play one on TV. So I'm not going to even pretend to be an agent here.
I don't always feel like an agent, but when I do, I know.
Oh, boy.
What do you think the cap should be?
Yeah, well, that's, I'll leave that to the experts. I'm certainly not one of them when it comes to caps and who's gonna buy this and who's not gonna buy that. I think it's a seller's market in some respect for the Cavaliers, but I think the sellers is the addition by subtraction. I know I've used that on the show before, but it's true. It's an obviously valid narrative. And I look for the Cavaliers to get back in the conversation a lot sooner than I do later, especially when the lottery is going on and obviously the Lakers having the number 2 pick. I had a conversation with Joshua Bruins yesterday. I have a problem with the Lonzo Ball pick. If they they should really stay away from that guy, if at all possible. But
I think all the NBA should stay away from that guy. Ugh.
Well, we're not in decision-making processes. I'll have to let them make that call. This is certainly not for me to make that call. I know. Don't you wish we could all have that power? I know. Ain't it cool? Anyway, I got to step aside. Got to pay the bills. Go to SeatGiant.com. Get your experience using hashtag #GetYourExperience from SeatGiant.com, as well as, throw me a like on Facebook. Throw me a follow on Twitter at Rudy Reyes. And this is Rudy Reyes on the Rude Dog Show, WBLZSports.com. I'll be right back.
What's up, what it do? This is Woody Dreadhead here on WBLZSports.com. You want to talk about the NBA? You want to talk about the NFL? You want to talk about the NHL or the MLB? I see all of y'all. Meet me in the Lions Den at 9 a.m. here on WBLZ Sports page on Facebook. Catch me at 9 a.m. Be there. Or are you scared to enter the Lions Den because you might not make it out? Well, I'm going to make it out every time because I'm part of WBLZ Sports, where we got balls.
With over 30 years of experience, the smart people call on Doug Peffer Painting and Pressure Washing. Interior, exterior, commercial, or residential, Doug Peffer does it all. Is your house looking ugh? Then call on Doug. Doug Peffer Painting and Pressure Washing, 404-966-3361. Mention WBLZ Sports, and you'll receive a special We've Got Balls discount. That's Doug Peffer Painting and Pressure Washing, 404-966-3361.
Hey, wrestling fans, Gary Grider here, letting you know that the Eye of Wrestling podcast comes your way every Friday at 7 p.m. right here on the WBLZ Sports Network. Join me and Martin Hughes as we get you caught up on all the wrestling news and discuss pro wrestling from the classics of yesterday to today. That's the Eye of Wrestling podcast every Friday at 7 p.m. right here on WBLZ Sports, where we've got the balls.
My name is Paul Heyman, and I am the advocate for the most non-PG ass kicker of the PG era.
WBLZ Sports. We've got balls.
Whether it be your industrial, commercial, or residential needs, Gen Service is the you. The Gen Service team has the expertise, commitment, and educational years to help you solve all your electrical concerns. They have you in their best interest with helpful suggestions to accommodate your every want. Give them a call, no matter the size of the job, at 740-438-7173. Mention WBLZ Sports, and you'll get a discount. That's Gen Service, 740-438-7173.
Hey, welcome back to the Root Dog Show. This is Rudy Reyes. Good afternoon, everybody. Thank you for joining me on the other side of this hour. Make sure you download the app. It is free. It is on Google. It is on iTunes. Let's go backwards for just a moment. Why? Because I look at what happened last year, and I recognize that sometimes players make the best decisions by doing things that were out of character for them to do. I look at a guy like Kevin Durant, and I'm not on a Kevin Durant bandwagon. He's obviously a great player, even greater now, with a championship and an MVP trophy to his name, and obviously you will see that as an asterisk on his name if you happen to get into Wikipedia or such. And the ability for Kevin Durant to make that fateful decision to uproot not only a restaurant he was opening in Oklahoma, but a place he called home while playing for the Thunder, to make a move that would forever change not only his life, but his environment. The people that he knew. Of course, people in the basketball world, you'll see them from time to time. You travel, state to state around the U.S., and you're going to recognize that you get to say hello or have lunch or dinner, whatever the situation is. But it was a place for him to call home while playing for the Thunder. But it was a move that would change his life forever. Not only a legacy. I mean, clearly the Golden State Warriors seen in him the hunger, the passion, the drive, the determination, the willingness to do whatever he needed to do. Now, don't forget, he did it while he was with the Thunder. Fans usually get upset because he knew that the grass was greener on the other side, and he would later find out that he was right. Fans in Oklahoma City didn't like it, and in fact, they didn't have to. They didn't have to like it. They didn't have to care for it. They didn't even have to own his jersey. All they had to do was to understand that it's a business decision. It was for his benefit. It's what he felt he needed to do to cement himself in NBA lore. Now, I've been to Oklahoma City. My grandfather was born in Oklahoma City, Oklahoma. I've been to Oklahoma City, and it's a little flat, but it's beautiful. Beautiful, beautiful country. Minus the tornadoes and, Tornado Alley, and, anyway, you get the idea.
Yeah.
This was about a business move. This was not personal. There was nothing personal about this. It wasn't a jab in the eye of the fans. It was a jab using the same finger he actually wanted to wear a championship ring on. And what do you know? The same jab that he used. Yeah, imagine that. Who knew that was going to be the case? The same finger he used. Now we'll have a ring on it. Or maybe not, I don't know. Hopefully it wasn't a middle finger. But this was about business. It wasn't personal, nothing more. Look, the interpretation preceding this move by ex-teammates on the Thunder team, was it that of betrayal? Really? Betrayal? No. No, this was not betrayal. Wasn't even close.
I don't think either is betrayal.
It had nothing to do with betrayal. He wanted to win. The Thunder team did not have the talent that he needed. Did not have the talent that he wanted. Did not have the talent to get them to the next level, and that's an NBA championship.
Yeah, because all the fans and everybody was so ticked off. Like, I understand. It was his decision, and that's what he decided to do. And you were ticked off for the whole year. I mean, really?
Well, you have to recognize that when you look at Kevin Durant, when you look at what he means to not only this franchise, now the Golden State Warriors, he meant equally as much to the fans there in Oklahoma City. The big difference is that he was there to win a championship.
Mm-hmm.
And because the tools weren't given, kind of goes back to my conversation about how LeBron James helped acquire the talent. I mean, did he do it single-handedly? No, it's not his payroll. It's not his money. He didn't pay them with his own money. But what he did was he added influence. And of course, with the Cavaliers, had they have not done those moves, may have not seen key shots from key guys because they wouldn't have been there. It's a business move. It's a business move for these guys, Kyle Korver as an example, to end up being a part of a finals he otherwise may not have been a part of. A championship run. Matt Barnes never had a championship, was on the Clippers. Didn't work out. Lakers didn't work out. Well, guess what? Another player who made the right decision to move over because it was business, not personal, and now is a champion. Did he contribute on that team? Not as much as I'm sure he would have liked to, because they were so deep in his position. That's why Steve Kerr and Coach Brown said, you know what, we're going to use you sparingly. We're going to see where you can contribute, and that's exactly what he did for this Warriors team. But I'll be honest with you, this line of betrayal that people want to talk about, look, it's water under the bridge. But it couldn't be more inaccurate. If I was a betting man, and I'm not, for those that are out there who know me, know that I'm not a betting guy, this had everything to do with having enough talent, which the Warriors organization did have, and what they were willing to do and willing to pay to keep the talent, to rotate the talent, and by helping him execute where he needed to. And that was down the stretch conversation me and Ray Woodson had during these playoffs when the Warriors were just starting off, beating every single one of the Western Conference teams, and of course Eastern Conference, hence the championship they have now. Does anyone remember when James Harden left for the Houston Rockets? Was there this much of a problem, an issue, when Harden left? No, there wasn't. Was he one of the best players on that team? Oh, yes. Him, Russell Westbrook, and Kevin Durant were the mean three. Those guys could do a lot, but something, somehow, some way, chemistry, idealism, whatever it was, just was not enough. James Harden bolted. He left. He said, I'm out of here. I'm going to the Rockets. I have better things to do. I got to go. Well, he did. And yes, he was a superstar in Oklahoma, but bottom line is was there too much need to be done about nothing? Yes, there was. There's absolutely nothing. There's nothing to do about it now. What's done is done. And in fact, if you want to know this is the bottom line. What's done is done. James Harden continues to struggle with the lack of talent around him, as does Russell Westbrook. Sound familiar? The Warriors win a championship without Kevin Durant this year. Would the Thunder have given the Warriors all they could handle in a Western Conference title bout had Kevin Durant not left?
Maybe.
It's possible. It's very possible. But the first question and obvious answer to that is no. Why did they lose last year? Why? Because they did not have a piece of the puzzle such as a guy like Kevin Durant. Could they have grabbed somebody? Yeah, okay. Would they be as effective? Maybe. There's too many variables. But with Kevin Durant gave them what they needed defensively and offensively to be the key to the car that they just won on a game show. And the game show was the NBA Finals championship match. Durant, despite missing 15 games with a bruised knee, found himself more valuable through the playoffs. Something that I continue to believe in, as I call Durant, Durantula, because he found his way into the record books and obviously NBA lore for quite some time to go. Well, in fact, forever. We were talking about LeBron James and how he may stay with the Cavaliers. Yeah, absolutely. But you have to ask yourself, if you're an NBA franchise, did the Cavaliers go about it the right way? Are you willing to model yourself after what they committed to because a player happens to be their leader, suggested, a captain suggested to them, look, we should go after this guy and this guy and this guy and this guy, try them out, bring them in, see if they fit. If they don't, well, it's been fun, it's been real fun. And send them on their way. But would you want a player being your captain to jump through? Would you want them to make you jump through hoops in order to acquire players? No. No way. No. Cavaliers are a unique franchise in that they allow James to practically order players. Wait, is there an app for that? I'm not suggesting that could be. There's an app for just about everything nowadays. But I'm not suggesting any player attempt at making demands to acquire talent, but that the fits he was trying to accomplish would ultimately give him the ability to go back to back, but obviously much to the grin of other franchises, maybe taking a page out of the Cavaliers playbook as a forward was written by LeBron James. It didn't seem to catch on, and is this a trend you may see more of moving forward? Or is it just more about being a unique situation? I think it's a unique situation for LeBron James to be in such a franchise that allows him to basically call the shots. Who doesn't want to be the shot caller? Who doesn't want to be the head honcho, the main squeeze, the big cheese? I mean, everything has to do with being able to have as much influence as LeBron James has had in his franchise in order to make those calls. And I'm sure if there isn't an app now to order players online, you never know. Maybe even franchise conversations. Order a franchise. Can I get a side of LeBron James with that, please? Sometimes listening to a player, if he happens to be the leader of your club, could go a long way if you're the right franchise with the right player and it's the right situation. I really believe that something could happen, some greatness could occur if that was in fact to be the case. There's something floating around the internet earlier this morning. I was just doing a random search and just looking for something, and I see some just, oh man, it's absolutely hilarious. Some meme, I didn't say men, mem, memes go out, there's a crying Jordan meme. But there was a tag called hashtag Long Live the King. And I seen it on Instagram, and it was, oh man, it was mocking the downfall of LeBron James with the theme of using the Lion King. Obviously, LeBron's face was that of Mufasa's trying to save Simba, which had the face of Rihanna, and Scar, with Kevin Durant's face, clawing Mufasa or LeBron in a scene where he was attempting at trying to escape the raging herd that was headed his direction. Of course, you know what happens when you're part of a herd, you get trampled on.
Right.
And Simba, being Rihanna, looked on. It's just something that cracked me up. I mean, it's wrong to some, and I probably shouldn't be laughing. But I'll be honest with you, I was rolling. It's actually ingenious, absolutely ingenious, for them to even remotely think about doing something like this, because it was the senility surrounding why you would do this. And of course, another meme showed it would be a LeBron James face with a Rihanna body laying on some type of things like maybe tanning under the sun or something poolside. And it showed I guess she has a tattoo on her ribcage area, what have you. And it had the crying Jordan face, which I thought was absolutely hysterical. And the number 23 was written on it. So it's just, oh man, unreal. So anyway, that's my that's my story of the day, and I find it funny. I mean, okay, maybe it's not as funny. Maybe it shouldn't be that funny, but man, it's hilarious. It's absolutely hilarious. I was coughing my coffee up as I was drinking it. And that is the saddest part of all, is that, look, despite whatever you want to say about LeBron James, he did absolutely everything he could to help his team come back. But I think in the winning moments of that game, Game 5, that there were moments where, again, talk about shot selection, not passing the ball, not being accurate, and not treating those possessions like gold. Because the minute you have empty possessions, you're going to have issues. In other words, you're going to give the ball back to the Warriors. They're going to add salt to injury, and they're going to make you pay for it because of the lack of decision-making process that put you in better position while you're down to the court anyway to make a score. To make a score. So those empty possessions end up being empty at all, and one less ultimate Larry O'Brien trophy that will not appear in the Cavaliers' lonely championship. But look at the bright side, Cavaliers fans. You defend the Landers. There's always next year. And when I say that, I don't mean that facetiously. I mean there's always next year. Why? Because there's enough talent. They have enough playmakers. They just need to do a better job in executing. Now, look, I'm not a player. I don't even, I have a pretty decent shot from 3. I do a couple layups, but I am nowhere near the athlete that any of these guys are. So I give the Cavaliers all the credit. It was a great season for them. But at the end of the day, it just wasn't enough. It didn't come to fruition. So sadly enough, it will have to wait till next year. You can call in. 10 minutes left on the show, 216-539-9967. That's the Gen Service Hotline right here on the Rude Dog Show. Don't forget to go to SeatGiant.com. Get your experience. Use a hashtag there. Use Rude Dog as your code to the bottom of the website during your purchase, and you get a little something off of your purchase. So it's always something you get a little than none at all. At least that's my theory and logic behind it. Yeah, exactly. So, ladies and gentlemen, I do have an announcement to make, and no, it's not bad. Lou, you're so preemptive. It's cheers and jeers. Or maybe more jeers and cheers. Anyway, in either case, coming latter part of this month, there will be a team, World Developmental League football, called the Los Angeles Saints. They have asked me to be their broadcast director, and I have humbly agreed to do so. Now I know what you're thinking. Show's not going to be affected. Well, it may. But if it does, it won't be a lot. So stay tuned for that. I'll be posting a lot about that as well. So thank you for tuning in. Thank you for listening today. And make sure you download the app for tomorrow. We're going to have a great show lined up, trying to get some good stuff for tomorrow. But don't forget to tune in. Make sure you download the app. It's on iTunes. It's on Google. This is Rudy Reyes on the Rude Dog Show at WBLZ Sports. Lou, thank you for the call.
My pleasure.
We'll see you tomorrow. Anyway, so thank you for tuning in. It's been a great show. I appreciate your time. I wish I had another hour. I have so much more material left for the hour, but I don't. So thank you for tuning in. I hate when I run out of time. It's so bad. It's so bad to run out of time. But anyway, thank you for tuning in. I appreciate your listenership. I'm on Facebook Live. This podcast will be posted on the RudeDogShow.com. Make sure you throw me a follow at Rude Dog Reyes on Twitter. Follow at Rude Dog Entertainment. If you are in need of an interview, reach out to them. And of course, at The Rude Dog Show on Twitter as well. So give me a follow in all of those. My producer will love you for it. Anyway, thank you so much for tuning in. This is Rudy Reyes on the Rude Dog Show, WBLZ Sports. I'll see everybody tomorrow.